What's up, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and leave a like on the video for promises made, promises kept. That's right. The Senate has just passed unanimously no tax on tips. Trump's big, beautiful bill, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Absolutely massive. This is huge, not just for the food service industry, people that work overtime, but even for, I wonder, for YouTubers and streamers. You know, people that leave super chats. Hey, leave a super comment. Have you ever left a super comment? Leave a super comment down below, because I would assume that's going to be tax-free. I would think, right? Super chat is a tip, isn't it? Well, this is massive. Let's go to the story. Huge shout out, everyone. Everyone's going to have a lot more money in their pocket, a lot more to win. Thanks, everyone, for picking up the last of these gift boxes up on Amazon. They're 40% off, plus free overnight shipping. There's only a limited supply left. I think there's a couple hundred left. It's our blueberry cobbler, our Colombian roast, both fresh ground, our honey sticks, our yogurt-covered pretzels, our chocolate-covered espresso beans. I want them all out of here by the end of the week. It's getting hot. I don't want them melting on people's doorsteps. Absolutely losing money every box. Don't care. Pick yours up. Pick it up early. Father's Day is in a couple weeks. Pick yours up now. It's 40% off. Or if you just like our products, you can't buy this stuff anywhere near that cheap. So grab it. Link in the description. No tax on tips. Absolutely massive. Massive, massive. Senate passes no tax on tips after push from Nevada's Rosen. Tips aren't extra. Democrat Senator Jackie Rosen pushed the U.S. Senate on Tuesday to pass a proposal that stopped the federal government from taxing tips. This was part of what won him Nevada. Rosen, joined by Republicans, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, proposed the Senate version of the bill, which came after President Trump suggested the idea on the campaign trail. The president, then presidential candidate, introduced it during a rally last summer in Las Vegas. Kamala Harris famously tried to copy him. Leave a like on the video to laugh in Kamala's face. Senators passed the No Tax on Tips Act by unanimous consent following a speech from Rosen on Tuesday. A similar proposal to ban the taxation of tips in the United States House was part of a larger budget and spending plan, which Democrats and some Republicans oppose. Nevadans, our families are being squeezed. We need relief, Rosen said from the Senate floor, adding that Nevada has more tipped workers per capita than any other state. For some, many service and hospitality workers, tips aren't extra. It's a part of their income that they use to make ends meet. Another proposal from the House from Democratic Nevada Representative Steve Horsfeld would also end the federal tax on tips. Rosen and Cruz's No Tax on Tip Act now heads to the House as a standalone. Absolutely smart to break it off if there wasn't going to be enough time to get everything done. Who can forget this famous moment?
No tax on tips.
This isn't just Nevada, obviously. It's the hospitality industry. It's anybody that gets tips. YouTubers, streamers, I would imagine, probably, probably good. There's other stuff going on today as well that are other huge wins. Let me pull this up, the no tax on tips thing. Here, this is about getting things done. Breaking: the Senate has passed President Trump's No Tax on Tips Act, 100-0 vote. Promises made, promises kept. There's literally nobody on the planet that could probably survive a primary, because there's so many people in the world out there that rely on tips. It's very difficult to believe anybody out there would survive voting against this. Now, people are saying, what happened to no tax for anyone who makes less than 100K, blah, blah, blah. I mean, sure. The tax man, there's a lot of people, to be clear, the No Tax on Tips Act, which passed Senate with a 100-0 vote, must also pass the House of Representatives to become a law. Trust me, it will. A companion bill, H.R. 42, has been introduced by the House of Representatives Vern Buchanan and Byron Donalds, but as of the latest available information, it has not yet been voted on and remains in the House. The This is another just absolute win. I want the no tax on overtime. I want the no tax on tips. I want, no tax on people who make more than 100K. All these are great things. Here's Senator Ted Cruz's release. President Trump made a promise to the American people that he would eliminate taxes on tips. In Congress, I formed a bipartisan, bicameral coalition to get that done. And in the Senate introduced the No Tax on Tips Act. Today, I went with the Senator Rosen to the floor to secure the Senate passage of the bill. This legislation will have a lasting impact on Americans, millions of Americans, by protecting hard-earned dollars of blue-collar workers, the very people who are living paycheck to paycheck. I urge my colleagues in the House to pass this important bill and send it to the president's desk to be signed into law. Of course they're going to do. Now, I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to go, now they're going to pass a no tax on Social Security as a standalone, a no tax on overtime as a standalone, as opposed to, letting it get mired down. I would hope. But here, Senate Democrats will attempt to pass no tax on tips. Of course they did. 100-0. 100-0. Nobody could vote against this. You will get primaried into oblivion. Now, when does it take effect? Probably sometime next year. It's difficult to say exactly, Will. You see, my bill, no tax on tips, just passed the Senate. We're delivering on our mandate to the American people. The next steps is making POTUS's tax cuts permanent with the one big, beautiful bill. So the big, beautiful bill remains. It remains. But it's good that you can kind of break this off, right? It's good that you can break this off. The one big, beautiful bill delivers promises the no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, new deductions for seniors. Fine. If you have to start breaking stuff off to get stuff done, I'm okay with that. It will, the no tax on tip will eliminate the application of the income tax on all qualified tips. Now, what is a qualified tip? What's the difference between a commission and a tip? Asking for a friend. So I'll tip less now. Because I'm too lazy to look this up, what defines a qualified tip? Well, let's look. A tip that is applied via electronic form of payment, which are traceable. Cash tips should get reported, but usually don't. I don't know. Streamers, service industry, a portion of OnlyFans income, to name a few. Yeah, I don't know if this would apply to streamers. I would think so. It's still a tip, right? I think it would still work. You see, no tax on tips about to make streamers the happiest people on earth. I don't get a ton of super chats. It's not that big of a deal. But to people that, need to survive off them, I think that's awesome. The whole thing is great. Now, the rest of the bill does need to get passed, but the no tax on tips, I think, is absolutely huge. Speaking of out there, the meltdown is real. It's hard because this puts people in such a weird spot where they really want to criticize the president, but how can they do it? I don't love, I actually like Thomas Massie. I know a lot of people are mad at him for kind of standing on business and trying to, have his principles and things like that in terms of, the big, beautiful bill. But I wonder if they're just going to start breaking all the stuff off that has like a high likelihood or a high level of contention. And they just start breaking this stuff off and, winning that way. Right now, by the way, I'm looking for any mainstream media. As of right now, no mainstream media has even reported on this. Why do we think that is? Why do we think that is? Here's the bill from Congress. Everything's great. Now, again, it's just a start. We have a lot that still needs to be done. That is absolutely true. But there's really nothing to hate about the no tax on tips thing. I'm sure people in the comments will find a few things, but overall, I think this is good. There's so much more work to get done. This is one of those things that I've been really nervous about because it's Trump really needs to start doing things. He needs to start getting things done. Because the midterms, who knows? And once the midterms come by, you kind of lose that that super majority, and they don't have a super majority, but you might lose a majority, and then you might not get anything done. I am absolutely very happy for people that survive on tips. If this applies to YouTube, it doesn't affect me very much, but I'm happy for people that it does. Now, do the same thing for Social Security. There's definitely more work to be done, for sure. But it's good to see stuff get done here. Of course, it won't be trending. If I'm trending, I see Norm from Cheers. I think he passed away. People are talking about Trump's Golden Dome, which is a missile defense system. Trump and Secretary Hegseth have announced a Golden Dome missile defense system for the United States. Golden Dome will be capable of catching missiles from across the world or even space. We'll be completing the job that Reagan started 40 years ago. Listen to this.
I am pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada.
Why do I think Elon's going to get it?
Be a part of it.
So I bet they do.
Talking to them, they want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada. We can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years.
That is hard to believe. Trump does have his, he makes a lot of promises, but he also keeps a lot of them. So I'm absolutely happy to see this. If you're a service worker out there, you rely on tips, shout out to you. Next beer's on you because, you got some extra money. Hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you again real soon.